ready to eat. Hey, we're back with our summer series at the table, and today we're going to be focusing on grilling. So this time of year is such a great time to really get outside, be with friends and family, and grill all of this gorgeous fruits and vegetables that we have available to us right now. So we've got a couple different things that we're going to make today. One is we're going to make grilled squash and onions. So good, can be thrown into anything after you grill it. So definitely load up your grill with all of that. And then we're also going to be making okra. So okra is one of those plants that if you plant it in your garden, you might tend to have a ton of it left over. So we're going to use that. We're actually going to bake our okra in the oven today, but we're going to do a little bit of a spin on that compared to maybe what you're used to doing with your okra. And then we have some chicken that we are going to grill up. So we're going to start with that okra just because it takes a little bit longer to cook. So I do have some of our okra already prepared just to save us some time today. What you're going to do is you're going to grab your okra pods and you're just going to trim off those stems. So you're just going to cut off the tip. And then what I like to do is just slice it right down the middle. Now the key here is that you have a nice sharp knife. Otherwise you can slip and you could cut something you don't want to actually cut. So I always grab the okra, kind of like you're pinching it, and then cut it right down the middle. So if your knife is not sharp enough, that could be dangerous. So just make sure that you have a nice sharp knife, and then you've got your okra cut right in two with your pods showing. So we're going to throw those onto our pan. Now I have just a regular pan cookie sheet here, and I have went ahead and added some aluminum foil just for easy cleanup, sprayed that with some cooking spray, and then we are just going to put some olive oil and salt and pepper on our okra. So typically I have one of those kind of aerosol olive oil misters where you can add your olive oil yourself. It's one of those from Pampered Chef, or you can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. But I'll spray that way, or if you don't have that, you can just kind of drizzle olive oil. So today I have a little basting brush, and we are just going to brush some olive oil on top of that. Now when I was little, my mom had a huge garden, and she would always, okra was my favorite food, so she would always make okra for me anytime I was around. So we didn't tend to have, well, I always preferred the fried okra, and that's typically how she made it. So when I got a little bit older and was trying to be more health conscious, I tried to think of another way that I could eat okra, still getting that okra that I absolutely love in, but it not being slimy, because if you do it in a stew or something like that, it can tend to be slimy. And it's still tasting really, really good. So I actually started baking it, and it has completely changed my preference on okra nowadays. So this is super simple, doesn't take a whole lot of time, not nearly as much of a mess as when you are making fried okra. So you just want to get a good amount of olive oil on there. You don't even have to use a brush. You can just kind of drizzle that and rub it with your fingers as well. And then all I add is just salt and pepper. So nothing fancy here. You could absolutely add any other seasonings that you like. I'm a plain salt and pepper girl. I don't need a whole lot to make this taste good. So we're just gonna throw a little salt and pepper on. But you could absolutely do like Italian seasoning. You could use any of those. Dried herbs would be really good on this. Any maybe seasoning blend that you have that you really enjoy. So we're just gonna pop these into the oven. We've got our oven on 400. So one tip with olive oil is we do want to keep it really 400 or less. When we start to up that temperature, we can get to that point where the smoke point of olive oil. So we wanna keep that kind of at a lower end. And we're gonna bake this for about 15 minutes. So it'll technically be roasting. So it's like we're roasting our vegetables. And a key to that is that you don't have all of your okra pieces touching. So when it's actually touching, you start to steam whatever's in there instead of roast it. So make sure that you place it on the pan so that it's not touching, and we're gonna throw these into the oven. And we'll let that cook for about 15 minutes, and then we will join you right back.
You're out for an evening on the town. Finally a chance to relax and forget that you left your front door completely unlocked. Fortunately, you just installed a security system from Star Communications. With just your cell phone, you can check on your house, lock it down, light it up, and get back to relaxing.
He forgot to put Buster in his crate.
Unfortunately, we can't help with that. Security and automation from Star Communications. Call today to find out more.
All right, so we've got our okra in the oven. So the next thing we're gonna do is grill up some chicken. Now, one great thing about this time of year is you can really load up your grill. You could have a bunch of chicken, throw it all on the grill, maybe throw some salmon in there too, or steaks, and just load up your grill for the week. We're obviously indoors, so we are gonna be using some indoor grills that we have accessible. We have some chicken here that we made a marinade. It was a citrus marinade from one of our cookbooks that we have here at the extension office. And we marinated this overnight. So I throw it into in just a Ziploc bag and then add in my marinade mix, let it sit in the fridge overnight, and it's good to go. You can absolutely use a bowl or something like that to marinate your chicken or fish or whatever it might be. I prefer a bag just because I feel like it really gets both sides of the meat. It's not messy, it's something quick to throw away. But if you are looking for sustainability, or if you're trying to be more of, I guess, environmentally conscious, you could do something like a bowl that maybe is more narrow, not quite as wide, and that should still work as well. So I'm actually gonna spray our pan. We have this on about 350. So I'm just gonna do a little cooking spray here so it doesn't stick too bad. And then we're gonna add in our chicken. Now this chicken is really thin, so it probably will only take about 7 or 8 minutes because it is so thin. But we are gonna let that cook, and then we'll come back over here and flip it in just a few minutes. And remember that if you whatever tongs you use to place your raw chicken on there, you need new tongs when you are taking it off. So I'm gonna use these again to flip, but then when I'm removing that chicken completely from the heat, I'm going to change out my utensils. So we're gonna go over here to our squash. So next we have our squash and onions. So I've already done one piece of squash. We're just gonna cut it into kind of these, almost like matchsticks, but not quite as thin. We're just gonna cut it into some big chunks. Now you could absolutely cut it into coins. You could cut it down the middle halfway and grill it that way if you want it nice and thick. It is totally up to you how you want to grill this. So, a little bit of how I did this. So you cut off the ends, I slice it down the middle, and then I like to just cut it into 3 pieces. So I'll show you guys that again with our other piece. So you top it and tail it, cut off both ends, and then I stand it up and cut it down the middle. and then lay it flat. Anytime you have that flat surface, that can help you to keep it from rocking, and just that'll help you to have more control over whatever you're cutting. So we set it flat and then we cut it into 3 pieces. All right, and then we've got some leftover onion from another recipe we did. So I'm just gonna cut off, one thing with your onions, you always want to cut off the, I guess it's more of the stem end, and keep your rooted end, so keep that hair. And then you can peel it off, and I always cut it in half. Again, same concept. It keeps it from rocking, it keeps it safer on your cutting board, and so you have more control. Now for this, I am actually gonna cut off that rooted end, and we are gonna cut it into 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that way we have these nice big chunks, which are a little bit nicer for grilling. So I'll just kind of break those up and throw them into, you could absolutely do these bigger pieces just as a big chunk. I'm gonna break it up a little bit so we have more onion dispersed throughout our little mixture. You can make these into smaller pieces if you want to. It's totally up to you. To me, grilled chunks of onion is just so tasty. All right, then we're just gonna add some olive oil. I've got about 1.5 tablespoons here. And then we're gonna add our seasonings. So I just grabbed kind of some different things we've got over here. We've got some rosemary, thyme, and parsley, and then a little bit of onions and pepper. So you can absolutely use whatever you prefer and whatever you have available to you. So it's all personal preference. And then our last thing's our parsley. And then we'll add just a little bit of salt and pepper. Now another tip for you, if you are trying to watch your sodium, you could add your salt at the very end. So once it's been completely taken off the grill and you're serving it, you could add your salt then. But we're gonna go ahead and add it now. All right, I'm just gonna stir this up, and then I'll see you back in just a minute to throw this back on the grill.
Sweetie, will you turn that down, please?
Keep life exciting, even when it's not. Watch TV everywhere from Star Communications.
All right, so our squash and onions are mixed up nicely. We are gonna throw these onto our grill. Since we have olive oil on this, we don't necessarily need to spray our grill pan. I did just go ahead and give it a little spritz just to make it easier. But we're just gonna lay these on here. Now, if you have a grill basket, you could absolutely go that route. You know, you could have your chicken on one side and your grill basket on the other. This is just what worked for us today. We'll make sure it's actually faster for me just to use my fingers, so we're just gonna do that. And then I'm actually just gonna throw the rest of these onions on here. We're running out of a little bit of room. One of the downfalls of using an indoor grill versus that big outdoor grill. But whenever you do your vegetables on the grill, it gives it such good flavor, and really, to me, changes the flavor profile of whatever you're putting on there completely. That's about all that we can fit. I got one more piece of squash. We're gonna make it work. All right, so we're gonna close that. We've got this on 350, so medium to medium high. on your grill. And then we are gonna go flip our chicken because it is time to flip it. All right, so I went ahead and took the lid off just because it was getting a little warm. And I didn't want it to overcook. So we're just gonna flip this. You can see the nice grill marks already there. And we probably, only need about 3 minutes or so left on that. So that'll cook just a little bit longer and then it will be done. So we've got everything loaded up and ready to go. Now we just have to wait. So this is one of those times where you've got your family around you, maybe you're having a cookout or a get together, and you've got your grill loaded up with all of your yummy foods. Maybe you're not doing this for a get together, but you just want to get outside and grill because it's such nice weather. This is something that we always suggest. Load up your grill, load up the chicken on the grill. Grilled chicken can be used in so many different things. So in our last session, we made bruschetta. So you could absolutely put that bruschetta on top of the chicken. It would be so good. We are gonna be making a salad in our next session. So we could throw that chicken on top of a salad. You could throw it onto pizza. So there's a lot of different options, especially with your meats. That if you go ahead and fill up that grill while it's nice and hot and cook whatever you might have in your refrigerator, and you'll be set for the week. You've already got your meat done. So if you're one of those people that's short on time and you're really trying to meal prep a little bit, this is a way you can prep things ahead of time, but not necessarily be prepping every single meal. So that can cut down on some time in the kitchen later on. Same thing for your vegetables. So with our vegetables, like I said, you have a completely different flavor profile when you are grilling those vegetables. You can throw them into all different kinds of things as well. So go ahead and load those up, and you can add them into stir fries. And a stir fry with grilled vegetables has such a different flavor than stir fry that's just done on top of the oven. So we're gonna give that just a few more minutes, and then we are gonna join you right back.
After completing my contract, I still have to buy out of it? Come on. Here's your sign.
Switch to the sign that's keeping homes secure and customers happy all over the area. Security from Star Communications. We pride ourselves on fair pricing and quick, friendly service every time.
Somebody try to break into this place?
Security from Star Communications.
All right, so our chicken looks done over here. So we're gonna go ahead and get that off our grill. So like I said, it depends really on that thickness of your chicken. But these are kind of a thinner piece, so it didn't take quite as long. Now the best way to know if your chicken is cooked all the way is to use a thermometer. So we are gonna do that today. Now chicken should always be cooked to 165 degrees, and a digital thermometer can be your best friend to know really where your meat is at. A lot of times we tend to overcook chicken because of just being nervous that it's not cooked all the way. And this will let us know 100%, hey, we are in the safe zone, and that way we're not overcooking. So I'm just gonna, you wanna take the end of your thermometer and stick it into the thickest part. So I'm gonna find the thickest piece and stick it into the thickest part of that chicken. And we're already at 177. So we have definitely cooked our chicken, it is ready. Another thing that I see a lot of people do when they're temp checking is they'll actually hold the probe. And so what's actually happening is you're reading your temperature plus whatever you're putting into that chicken. So your temperature's not gonna be accurate. You wanna make sure you're not holding that probe, you're holding, I guess, more of the plasticky piece. And then also making sure that we're using the digital. I know a lot of people have a dial, probably. We've got some in here somewhere as well. But those, you're kind of iffy. You're like, oh, is it 162 or is it 165? I'm not sure. Well, there is a big difference. So you could be getting your family sick at 162 and your family could be safely eating chicken that's nice and juicy and not dry at 165. So definitely digital thermometer is the way to go, and it will change your life in terms of your meats. So that is good. Looks great. We're gonna just set this to the side. Next, we've got our okra over here. So our okra should be done. It's definitely been about 15 to 20 minutes. I like my okra very crispy. So we'll see how it's looking. All right, here's one pan. And you can see some of our smaller pieces are already nice and crispy. Here's our little pan. So yeah, that looks really good. I might even have left it just a little bit longer. Totally up to you. This is definitely personal preference in terms if you want it not quite as crispy and crunchy, or if you do want it really, really crunchy. I'm a crunchy girl, so I want it to be more crunchy, but this to me is perfect. You're gonna let that sit for just a few minutes, and then it should be good to go. You can see on the ends, there are some, it's starting to get really crispy, and even some of our smaller pieces are gonna be a little bit more well done than those other pieces. So that is looking good, and I can't wait for our production team here to try that. So we're gonna get over to our other grill and check on our vegetables. I'm gonna grab us a plate, and I need some more tongs. But it is smelling good. It's smelling like summertime cooking in here. Let's see how these do. So our onions are looking done. Our squash, you can see on the other side, we've got those beautiful grill marks happening. I did not flip it just because I didn't have a whole lot of room here. But ideally you would come over here and you would flip your vegetables a little bit just so that you can get that char on all sides of your vegetables. We just don't really have a whole lot of room. I'm just gonna kind of mix this up and see how it does. Oops. So that is definitely a benefit to using one of your outdoor grills at home. But there are tons of indoor grills. We actually got a Ninja Foodie as a wedding gift recently from some family friends, and we absolutely love it. You can air fry and you can grill on it. So we use that. I mean, we definitely use it at least once a week, if not more. So definitely there are some really great things out there if you want to go more of the indoor grill route. And it'll still cook your food just as nicely, get that nice char. It'll still taste like summertime, and you can have that all year round, so you could have those grilled foods more frequently. But that is looking really good. I'm gonna let it sit just another minute just to get that other side now that I've kind of rotated it some. So a little bit where we got these recipes from, we have a cookbook that is from our Steps to Health program, Faithful Families program, and our FNEP program. Those are all 3 programs that we offer here at the Extension office. So that is a free cookbook that we give away to participants. So when you sign up for any of our classes, you do get that free cookbook. It's the same for all 3 programs, but you get that cookbook to go along with the class that you're taking. And so that's something that if you ever tend to come to any of our workshops, you can get one of those. And it's got all of these recipes in there. It's got a whole section in the middle that talks about grilling. And then it also tells you if you could, I think it says something about roasting. So if you wanted to grill, roast, or, and then it gives you seasonings to pair with those different vegetables. So I looked at the squash and onions one, and it told me all these different seasonings that would be good for squash and different seasonings that would be good for onions. And so that is one thing that I used here today. Our marinade recipe was actually from our Cook Smart, Eat Smart cookbook. So when you take our Cook Smart, Eat Smart workshop, which I have done virtually, we will probably offer another one of those again this fall. So keep up with our website to see when we're offering that. But you get a free cookbook with that workshop, even if it's virtual. So we have a lot of really great freebies that we give away, and we make really good food. So when we are able to meet back again in class, definitely come and join us and check out some of the things that we're making and some of the things that we have to offer. So this is looking good. Everything's smelling great. I hope that this was helpful to you as you're kind of taking in all of that summer bounty that you might have and you're trying to utilize that. So come back and join us next time for our next summer series.